The story begins with a boy named Puick, and today is his first day in prison. Puick's childhood was spent surrounded by criminals and drugs. His mother sold drugs to make a living, so he was often humiliated by his teachers in front of his classmates. One day, the police caught his mother selling drugs, and she was sentenced to 24 years in prison. From that day on, Puick lived a life without parents. One day, when Puick was at a nearby grocery store, a man stood there and said some nasty things about his mother. The man even called his mother a prostitute. At that moment, Puick's anger boiled over. His girlfriend, Par, tried to stop him. But when the man threatened to make Par his mistress, Puick couldn't take it anymore and shot him dead on the spot. Later, we see Puick in an interrogation room where a police officer is beating him. Because Puick is under 18, he is not sent to an adult prison, but is taken to a juvenile detention center. You might think life there would be easier, but unfortunately it's not. The place is just as bad as an actual prison, except the prisoners here are young boys. The strong always oppress the weak, and humanity seems to be non-existent. Puick, along with an LGBT person named Fluke, is sent to the facility. She was arrested for selling drugs. As soon as they enter, the warden asks them some questions, but when he sees there is no fear in Puick's eyes, he decides to punish him. The warden threatens, "I don't care where you come from, but if you dare look at me like that, I'll make your life worse than death." He then leads them to the locker room and orders a prisoner named Beer, who is there, to teach Puick and Fluke. Beer confidently replies, "Don't worry, boss. Before they leave this room, they'll be begging at your feet for mercy." When the warden leaves, Beer tells Puick to take off his pants and then mocks him, even cutting his hair. And that's just the beginning. What comes next is nothing short of a nightmare, and they'll have to live this nightmare every day in this prison. Because the space in the prison is so cramped, all the prisoners are locked up together in one cell like sheep or goats. At night, Beer signals to his people, and suddenly all the prisoners stand up. One of them approaches Fluke and tells her to get up, saying that the boss has a task for her. They ask Puick to come along, but he refuses. Then, Fluke is forced to stand in front of Beer. She begs for mercy, but no one helps her. Beer says, "Don't be afraid. Today is your first day. You'll get used to it soon." Beer offers two choices. The first one involves asking Fluke to do something unacceptable, and if she agrees, she will become his property. If she refuses, he will make her the mistress of all the prisoners there. Fluke is terrified and finally gives in. At the same time, everyone started kicking Puick. They beat him so brutally that by the next morning, he had difficulty getting up. He tried to stand and head to the canteen where all eyes were on him. This prison is divided into sections, and each section has its own leader. One of Gas's group members said, "This is the kid I told you about. He comes from our city. We can bring him into our gang." When Puick reached the counter, the cook told him that the food was all gone and asked him to come back the next day. Puick was ready to eat the leftover burnt food, but as soon as the cook put the leftovers on his plate, Puick grabbed his hand because the cook seemed to be trying to spill the food. Puick asked, "Why are you doing this to me?" The cook replied, "If you keep interfering with everything, you'll pay the price." At that moment, Beer stood up, walked over to Puick, and threw the food on the floor. Gas thought Puick would fight back, but he did nothing, quietly bending down to pick up the food and eat it. Everyone thought he was crazy, but Gas said, "He's right. If I were him, I'd do the same. If he doesn't eat, he'll starve." After that, all the prisoners were led to the shower. While Puick was quietly showering, Beer and his group surrounded him. Beer said, "Do you think you can get everything here for free without paying? Everything here has a price." He ordered Puick to kneel, but when Puick refused, they used force to make him kneel. According to their rules, Puick had to take 5 kicks. The first kick was from Beer. After that, Beer called Fluke over and told her to kick Puick. Fluke refused, but was threatened that if she didn't, she would receive the same punishment as Puick. Finally, Fluke gave in, but she didn't want to hurt Puick too much, so she only kicked him lightly. There were still 2 more kicks, and Beer wasn't going to let Puick off easy. He told his people to beat him. Puick knew this time he would be seriously injured, so he tried to defend himself. Seeing this, Beer got furious and along with his group, beat Puick brutally. Puick passed out for a while and they all left him in that state. The story then flashes back to the past, showing Puick when he was young and had to participate in boxing to make money. When he came home with his body covered in bruises, his mother asked, "Why did you do that?" Puick answered, "You sell drugs, so I have to do this too." People mock me. I don't want to grow up on money from drugs." Then the story returned to the present. The warden pulled Puek up and said, "I'll give you 5 minutes to get in line." Fluke was standing nearby and approached Puek, apologizing to him. This was the first time they knew each other's names, and Fluke gave Puek an orange. Meanwhile, the warden told Beer, "You're causing me trouble." When Beer found out Fluke had given the orange to Puek, he was furious. The warden said, "Before my cigarette goes out, do something with him, then I'll raise the alarm." Soon as the warden left, Beer started beating Fluke. Everyone else stood behind, silently watching, and no one helped her. When Puek saw Fluke being beaten, he rushed in and said, "If you're a man, then hit me instead." Puek kicked one of the men so hard that he passed out. Before things escalated, Golf entered and said, "Stop it. I want both of you to join my gang." But Beer replied, "It's not that simple. They're my prey." A moment later, Gas arrived and stood before Beer. After a tense argument, Beer finally agreed to give Gas one of the two. Gas chose Puek to join his gang. Now Puek was one of them, and messing with him meant having to face the entire gang. That night, while everyone was sleeping, Gas noticed Puek wasn't. Puek asked, "Why did you save me and leave my friend with those monsters?" Gas replied, "You're not like him. He'll survive by following others, but you wouldn't last even a week among them." Puek thanked Gas for saving his life. Golf handed him a wooden knife and said, "I made it by hand. If you need it, use it." That night, Puek slept soundly, but for Fluke, the night was full of hardship. To help Puek, Beer and his friends beat Fluke all night, leaving her badly injured. The next morning, when all the prisoners were taken outside, Golf saw that Puek was still sleeping. They tried to wake him, but couldn't. After a while, they grew worried that Puek might have died. But then he suddenly woke up and put the knife to Golf's throat. When Puek woke up, he remembered he was no longer among those monsters. After that, Puek's life began to improve day by day. He lived happily among these people. Occasionally, Gas would give him part of his meal, and because of that, Puek's health improved quickly. Meanwhile, Fluke wasn't as fortunate as Puek. Beer and his friends tortured her mentally every day. It seemed like Fluke was on the verge of breaking. A few days later, Par visited Puek. When she appeared, a faint smile spread across Puek's face, but he didn't know that this happiness wouldn't last long. Par told him that his mother was no longer alive. She had passed away in prison. Hearing this, tears welled up in Puek's eyes, and he couldn't hold back his emotions, crying uncontrollably. Par said, "I'm here just to let you know that your mother's funeral has been arranged, and from now on, I won't visit you anymore." Puek said, "Besides you, I have no one left in this world. Don't leave me." His eyes filled with tears, but Par still didn't turn back and quietly left. At that moment, Gas was talking to his father. He said, "I've arranged for you to go to school and find a job. When you come outside, you'll have a normal life." Gas had been here for over 10 years, and he wanted to start over with his father. But when he found out his father was still living with his stepmother, Gas's anger flared. He didn't say anything, just silently stood up and left. While Puek was trying to cope with his sorrow, he suddenly witnessed Beer trying to attack Golf. To save Golf, Puek rushed in to stop him, but immediately the warden appeared and ordered everyone to lie down. Beer's actions had crossed the line, escalating the tension between them. Different areas in the prison. Gas said, "If you keep this up, I'll have to do something about you." But that's exactly what Beer wanted. He wanted the two of them to fight to see who was stronger. That night, while everyone was sleeping, Beer and his friends approached Fluke. He looked at her with fury and said, "I don't need you anymore. Do something." Fluke couldn't take it anymore and tried to fight back, but the anger of the others only made things worse. They all took turns violating her. Within the four walls of this prison, humanity seemed to have died a long time ago. Fluke cried out for help, calling for the warden, but no one came to her aid. She lay there, barely breathing on the stairs, like a cold corpse. Then Fluke overheard a conversation between Beer and his friends. They were crushing a razor blade and preparing to mix it into Puek's food the next day. The next morning, they teamed up with the cook to carry out their plan, just waiting for the right moment. In Gas's group, everyone shared food with each other, so it couldn't be certain whether Puek would end up eating the food with the razor blade. Beer said, "It doesn't matter who dies, But today, someone is definitely going to die. Finally, when the food reached Puek's plate, Fluke grabbed the plate from his hands and ate all the food. The razor blade pierced her throat and lodged into her stomach, causing her immense pain. Puek tried to save her, but Gas stopped him. If you save her, it will only make her pain worse. We can't save her. Fluke's death heightened the tension between the two groups, and eventually, Gas prepared for a gang war. He decided that the next day would be the day to fight, when the warden and guards would be busy with other duties. Puek felt deeply remorseful for the death of his friend and didn't want to talk to anyone, but Gas encouraged him. What happened cannot be changed, you can't undo it. Tomorrow, I might be in your position or anyone else's here. How many more people will you regret the death of? Later, everyone gathered in the yard. Gas waited a long time for Beer, but when he didn't show up, he thought maybe Beer was scared, but that wasn't the case. Golf noticed Beer was on his way. Everyone drew their weapons and rushed at each other. Gas attacked Beer but couldn't do much because Beer was wearing protective armor. Beer then began kicking Gas repeatedly. Their screams caused the guards to quickly ring the alarm, and the warden intervened, beating everyone with batons. However, no one admitted who had started the fight. In the end, everyone was taken back to their cells. Puek saw Gas sleeping with a blanket over him, despite the hot weather. When he touched Gas's forehead, he realized that he was running a high fever. Seeing Gas's wounds, Puek began calling for help, but everyone deliberately ignored him. Gas knew his time was short. He looked at Puek and said, "These people are just like us. They have no home, no family. After I'm gone, everything will be yours. Take care of them." That night, Gas passed away, and his death created a silence in the air. When Gas's father learned of his son's death, he completely broke down. He had waited for 10 years for his son to be released, but just days before Gas was about to get out, these monsters had killed him. In order to avenge Gas's death, they went to kill Beer, but at that moment they were caught. Beer could have killed Puek immediately, but he gave him a choice. "If you want to kill me, you'll have to fight." He believed that Puek wouldn't dare. However, Puek didn't hesitate and accepted the challenge, staring directly into Beer's eyes. Golf chose the next day for the fight and even said, "If you lose, you can kill me." That afternoon, Puek prepared for the battle. While sharpening his knife, he said to Golf, "I've heard that when people are about to die, they usually think of their mother. I feel like I'm going to die tomorrow because I miss my mother so much." Golf advised him not to overthink. Let tomorrow worry about tomorrow. Anyway, we're all going to die one day. The next day, everyone gathered in the shower room to watch the fight between Puek and Beer. Golf told Beer to take off his shirt because he knew Beer was cheating. Beer asked, "Who told you about this? Did Gas's ghost come to you in your dreams?" Holding the knife, Beer immediately charged at Puek, confident that he would kill him. However, Puek's fear gradually grew as he took the first few stabs. He tried to fight back but failed because Beer was too skilled in this bloody game. Puek's actions still showed signs of panic. Finally, Puek pulled back his knife and remembered the days when he was in boxing, where he would carefully calculate before each punch. When he saw an opening, Puek quickly stabbed Beer in the leg, causing him to fall. As soon as Beer hit the ground, Puek didn't stop. He kept stabbing him in the stomach. One of Beer's friends tried to rush in to save him, but Golf blocked him by pushing him away. In the end, Puek strangled Beer and took his last breath. A moment later, the guards arrived and ordered everyone to return to their cells. The warden beat each of them with a baton and angrily said, "You're all like worms in the sewer. When you don't care about your own lives, how do you expect us to care about you?" After finishing the beating, he locked them back in their cells. Golf said, "Don't think too much. We didn't do anything wrong. His death made life here a bit easier." The next morning when Golf woke up, he saw Puek still awake, staring out the window. After a while, the warden came in, but this time his attitude was different. He brought them a nice meal and said, "If you want to keep eating like this, you'll have to leave here. As long as you're here, your life will never get any better." The warden took both of them outside and announced that they would be transferred to different prisons where life would be much better than here. Golf and Puick thanked the warden for his kindness. The car. They looked at each other one last time and silently said goodbye in their hearts. Puick had learned so much about life here, but now he would have to face his punishment alone. The warden left them with the hope that their lives would improve at the new prison, but whether that would be true or not, only time would tell.